Hey everybody. Okay, so me and Skylar's here with the chain grinder. I told y'all about this thing in the past, and I told you I'd do a follow-up video on it of us shortening some chains and how I use it and whatnot. And I have grown to really like this thing. You know, when I first got it, I thought, well, I don't know. You know, I've always been a round file, hand filer type of guy. But as time has went on, I have figured out that my time is worth a lot. And we cut in the afternoons after our regular jobs in school, so we don't have time to sit around hand filing a bunch of chains or hand filing chainsaws, especially in the woods, because we just don't have the time to do it. We got very limited daylight, especially this time of the year. So as y'all can see, hanging up right here on the wall, you know, we keep, you know, several chains, and these stay in our tool bags whenever we go down here at the woods. And we do that so if we hit a nail or a fence, or, you know, fence wire, nails, if you get in the dirt, whatever, and it does your chain, you can just swap the chain out and keep on rolling, and we ain't lost no production. And then when we get a day, today's Sunday, you know, when we get a day that we can just kind of relax a little, we'll come out here, throw a few chains on the grinder, we'll grind them, and then, you know, a handful of chains like that, it ain't no time and you're done. I mean, this thing will go through a chain in about 5 minutes, you know, start to finish, and that's a 25-inch full comp, full chisel chain. But what I want to do first is kind of show y'all how I set it up, and I had to play with the angles a little bit and just kind of experiment. Every manufacturer's got their own specific angles that they call for. Steel, Oregon, that's really the only two chains I run. I mainly run steel chains, mainly because the teeth on steel chains are a little bit longer, and the heat treat on steel chains, I found they last a little bit longer. But that's just me. Everybody's got their own opinion. You can use whatever you want to. But I did play around with the angles a little bit until I figured out what I liked for my type of timber that I'm cutting. And we're mostly in hard wood, like beech, maple, oak, hickory, such as that. We don't cut a lot of softwood. So our angles have to be just a little slightly different. Plus some of our stuff is a little dirty, so we grind for just a little bit shallower angles, and I'll get more into that here in a minute and show you that, sort of makes sense. But this is an Oregon model 620-120, which means it's 110 volts. You know, it plugs into the wall right here. And my wife got me this grinder for Father's Day, I believe it was, this last year. And basically what it is, I mean, it's a little, you know, it's a grinder head with a vise, and it's on a stand, a tripod, so we can move it around wherever we want to take it. This model has the hydraulic jaws. If y'all watch them jaws, when I pull down, see when I pull down on the motor here, when I pull down on the grinder, let me get right here where you can see how those jaws will close. And that's the hydraulic jaws. It's got a right back in here, there's a little hydraulic cylinder, comes out of this hose and runs up here to this piston, and it closes your jaws. Now on a 520 110 model or 120, it's got a little handle that you crank, and you have to do that with every tooth, and that's not a big deal if you're not in a super big hurry. But I thought, you know, if we're going to spend the money for a grinder, you know, to speed up our production, you know, if that's what we're going to buy a thing for, then let's speed up our production, you know. So I thought, hey, hydraulic jaw, vise, grip assembly would be a good way to go. So anyway, let's jump right into it. We're going to set a chain up. I'll show you kind of how we do it. Okay, y'all, so here's a saw chain, just a typical full comp, full chisel chain. First thing you got to do is slip it in here, down in the little rollers and into the vise. That's the first thing you want to do. Just get the chain set in there, and all the teeth need to be, you know, going that direction. And with this grinder, there will come different size wheels. I'm gonna show them to you. This is what comes with it. You'll get a rounded edge thinner blade and a rounded edge thicker blade. This blade here, the thicker one, and I don't have the size numbers right off the top of my head, but the thicker one is for 3/8, the thinner ones are for 0.325 chains. And then you got a flat disc, and that's for grinding your rakers down after you sharpen the teeth. So, the one thing you got to do, it comes with this little thing here, this little gauge. And we're going to be grinding a 3/8 chain, which is right there. And it comes with this honing stone for the wheel. And what that does is you want to take this and slip it up over that wheel. Y'all look right there. Skylar show them real good. See how that stone fits that groove? You want to make sure that it's profiled to fit and it slips up on there real good. Sometimes after you've ground a lot of chain, it'll build up, it'll have some build up on it, you know, dirt, metal build up and whatnot, and y'all can kind of see how it's got a little trace of gray on there. What you do is you turn the machine on, and I'm just going to show you real lightly, I'm not going to do it very hard, and you take the stone and you just kind of go around it like that. And what that'll do is that'll clean that blade up, and it didn't really need it doing. I just kind of wanted to show you how I do it. All right, now let's make sure it'll fit still. See, we've got a good fit, so it's profiled really good for a 3/8 chain. All right, so now we don't no longer need these anymore. We can put them back. Now, as far as our angles are concerned, there's a few things that you need to know about saw chains. All right, here we go. So show them right up here, Skylar. Let me get something to point with. Tell you what, I'll use the tip of this file here, and we're going to show them these angles. Okay, the first thing you got here is this angle right here that goes across your tooth. In other words, it goes across the saw chain. Okay, and y'all, I don't have all the terminology for all these angles. I'm just telling you what I know as a logger and a chainsaw man, timber cutter. All right, you got this angle that goes across right here. All right, now if y'all look right here on this chain, maybe you can see it. On this chain right there, can you see that, Skylar? Maybe. There's a little old line right there. That line serves two purposes. One, it's a wear indicator that tells when you get back to that line, you can no longer sharpen that chain anymore. Because as you sharpen it, it's going to come backwards like this. When you get to that line, you're done. Also, that line serves as an angle guide. So you'll know on a steel chain, steel recommends a 30-degree file angle on their full comp, full chisel chains. Okay, that's what they recommend, and that's the angle going across the tooth, like that. All right. Now, here's what I've learned. 30 degrees is fine, and it'll do pretty good. In this hardwood that we cut, I found that a 25-degree angle is best, and that's right here. See these numbers right here? Okay, so we got this little pointer. We set it on 25. All right, that's the first angle that we need to talk about. And then whenever you'll do these teeth, and then you'll have to take and loosen this knob right down here. See this knob? You'll loosen this knob and you'll rotate this whole vise assembly to 25 degrees over here to do the other teeth. You don't have to take the chain out and swap it around. You just move the vise over here. Okay, now let's talk about the angle going in this way. See how this saw or this grinder is tilted? And let me move this thing back to where to make a little more sense. Well, no, I was on the right one. You see how, I mean, I hadn't adjusted it yet. We're going to in a minute, but see how it's contacting the tooth? Okay, so that's got our across, the chain angle. Right here, y'all, right back here is the angle that sets the tilt of the grinder into the tooth, like this. And Steel recommends, for filing their chain, they recommend using 60 degrees, which is right here. And there's a pointer on this. You line it up with that 60-degree mark, and that would be for a steel chain what they recommend. Oregon recommends 55, okay, for most of their full chisel chains. Some of them are a little different. It just depends. What I have found works best is right in the middle, 57 and a half, if you want to go into half. But put it right in the middle of 55 and 60, And that's what I found works best for me. And then 25 on your angle going across. So it's a little bit lesser of an angle. You're gonna cut just a little bit wider of a curve because, you know, your angle's a little, this angle here going across. With it being a little less than 30, you're gonna cut a little bit wider curve, which is gonna not make your saw bind as much. And then this back here, going with a little bit lesser of an angle than 60 is gonna give it a little more pitch, which means it'll I don't know how to make this sound where it makes any sense to you, but it will use a little bit less power to make the same chip, if that makes any sense. Because the steeper it is, the more blunt it is. The lesser of an angle it is, like a 45 degree would be, you know, way less of an angle, and it's really gonna roll a chip out. But you're also gonna dull your chain a lot quicker because of the profile of that tooth. But what I have found works best for me, and I've experimented around. That's why I didn't want to do this video till I experimented with it. What works best for me is a 25 degree angle going across the tooth and a 57.5 degree angle going into the tooth, like this, on the saw, or the grinder, I mean. Okay, now there's one more angle I gotta tell y'all about. Let me step right around here. And it's right here. The Skyar, you can show them right here on the side. And what this does is this moves this slide forward and backwards. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna dictate, back up to this little ring, see, that's gonna dictate where the center of this saw impacts the top of that tooth. Because some manufacturers, and let me get right back around here, some manufacturers, when you round file a tooth, you know, let's just say that right there is flat. You know, whenever you make that stroke, you're going with a flat stroke, right? Okay, over here, that's 0 on this little dial over here. Now, some manufacturers will recommend a 10 degree pitch like this as you round file. Okay, and if they recommend that, you can change that setting right over here on this side. You can slide this vise in or out for each side of the chain to get that pitch that you're looking for. And what that does is that it kind of creates a steep point to right here on your saw chain. And on a full chisel, you'll have a point. Full chisel will make a point right here on the tooth, where a semi chisel will kind of come up here and be rounded on the edge, kind of like a question mark. Full chisel will cut faster, but it will also dull faster. Where semi chisel will cut slower, but it will dull slower because of dirt and all that mess. We do run full chisel, just to reiterate that, because I want y'all to know what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a full comp, which means it's got all the teeth on it. If we were, you know, a skip tooth would be, you know, you would skip a tooth every other tooth, you know, and then you got like half skips where it's a tooth skip, tooth skip. Or if it's a skip tooth, it'll be a tooth skip, tooth skip, tooth skip. This is a full comp where it's just a tooth, a tooth, a tooth, a tooth. If that makes any sense. Trying to give y'all a little heads up on that. Now, one last setting I want to talk about is this one right here. And this one, this little dial right here, what it does is it presets your jaws to whatever thickness that these drive links right here are. Right here. You know, because some chains is 50 thousandths thick, some chains are 63 thousandths thick, some chains is 43 thousandths thick, some chains is thicker than that, you know. So it's got a dial on there, and you can set it to wherever you want it to make it hold that chain like you want it to hold. Okay, so we've covered across the tooth, we've covered into the tooth, and we've covered the tilt of how it's going to profile that tooth. Now on the tilt, on far as like the 10 degree to what we were just talking about, I don't profile no kind of tilt in it. I set it at 0 and I leave it. So it's basically just a flat, you know, across. Nice stroke. 25 on the across the tooth file angle, 57.5 on the tilt. That's how I set the saw up, or the grinder. Sorry, keep saying saw. So, now that we got that done, we need to talk about some adjustments on this thing. You've got a knob here, and a knob here, and a knob here. There's 3 adjustments, basically, to how you set this saw chain up. This is a backstop. See how your chain rolls through it? Skylar, show them right there. As I pull it with my hand, see how that thing rolls up over the top of those tooth? And then it serves as a backstop. See how it stops the tooth? And you roll up. See what I mean? Okay, so with the way we've got the tilt angle and everything, and this set up right now, we're doing all the teeth on the left side of the chain first. So the first thing we need to do, and I'm gonna try to show y'all as best I can, when you come down, let me adjust it to where we do the other side first, because y'all might can see that a little better. So let's swing it around. Let's set that on 25. Let's make sure this is on 0. Skylar, check that there for me. Is it on 0?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you want to take your grinder head and bring it down. Now, right in there, and I'm going to get my flashlight where y'all might can see a little better. You see how I'll be touching the tooth with the grinder? Come right on this side, Skylar, where they can see a little. See how it's touching that tooth? So that ain't gonna work. So the first thing we need to do, this backstop is too far forward. So we need to adjust this and bring that stop back. All right, now let's see what it does. All right, see now we went the other way too far. Come around on this side and show them, Skylar. See there how it's too far? It's hitting the raker now, so that's too far. So I did that to show y'all it don't take a lot of adjustment. Just a little bit at a time will serve its purpose. Okay. Now see how it's going down in there now? Show them on this side. See how it's just barely clearing that tooth? That's what you want. Now at this point, if you had a jacked up chain, say you hit a nail or a piece of fence or something like that, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to roll this chain around and watch the teeth as they come around and find your worst tooth out of the whole chain. Find the worst one. And whenever you find that tooth, that's the tooth you want to set up on. That's the one you want to set up on because that's the most damaged tooth. Now see, like this one here, this chain is all right. It's a little dull, it just needs touching up. So I mean, if we was in the woods, we'd just hit it with a round file, a few licks and go on. It's not really damaged all that much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the head down, and you see how it's contacting it just a little bit? Show them on this side again. See how it's just contacting that? That's still a little bit too much. So I'm gonna back it off just a little. Reset my chain. And I'm gonna come down in here until it's not touching. I don't want that thing to touch at all. I'm gonna back that off just a little more. Bring it down till it don't touch. I went a little too much. All right, now it's not touching. See how it's clearing right there? All right, and then this one up here, this adjustment right up here will dictate how far down the saw goes. See how it contacts this little plate right here? Watch it whenever it comes down. Now look at that stop up there. See how that stop's contacted? That is what keeps the saw head from going down and cutting into your chain. Okay, so what I want to do is get that to where it's not touching coming down and it's not touching the tooth going back. All right, and the last adjustment is right here. And what it does is it moves this backing plate in and out this way. It's got a spring over here, and whenever you tighten or loosen this little knob, it just moves that slide over, you know, left or right. And basically you want to keep it out of the way to where the saw don't, the grinder don't hit it right here on the back side. And when you swap around the other sides, you know, you may have to change it a little bit. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. I'm gonna turn it on. And it's a quiet little thing. It don't make much noise. Runs nice and smooth. I'm gonna put my safety glasses on just in case something comes apart, because any of these grinding wheels, they could come apart. All right, now we should not get no sparks at all. It should just come straight down. And you want to go slow, especially on the first one. All right, see how nothing's contacting? I know I need to come down because I can see a gap down here underneath it. You may have to show them from this side, Skylar. Let me swap sides with you. And that way maybe you can show them a little better in there. Now see how it's contacting a little bit now? So I'm gonna back it up just a little. Now it shouldn't be contacting. See how it's just barely tinking? Look right there underneath it. You know, underneath the grinder. Now I'm gonna back off this adjustment up here on top, the one that controls the stop for the depth. I'm gonna back off of it. Uh-oh. I'm gonna do it a little bit at a time. All right, that's about right. All right, now let me push this one up just a little. Reset my chain. Come back in here. And you want to do it in little spurts like this, because if you just pull it down and hold it, it'll get that tooth real hot, and you'll take the heat treat out of it, and you'll also make it hard to round file later. All right, so let's look at it now. Now that we've let's see. All right, let's look at our tooth there and examine it and just see what it looks like. Okay, we got a good sharp point. The gullet right down in here, that gullet is clean, and y'all, if you don't get that gullet cleaned out, it can't cut on the side. A full chisel is designed to cut on the top and on the side, so you need to get that gullet cleaned out. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now that's where, now that we've got it adjusted and got it set, and y'all, if I wasn't trying to do this for y'all, I would have been already done with this chain by now. Been done with it. But I'm trying to do this to share with y'all, you know, this machine, and also, you know, how I set it up. Now, like I say, if you're cutting a different kind of wood and you know that your angles need to be different, do what suits you. All right, so now we're gonna just press on sharpening, and I'll show y'all kind of, you know, how quick it goes. Again, when you come down with your grinder, you just want to go tink, tink, tink. You know, you don't want to pull it down and just hold it on there, because you'll smoke that tooth. They'll get real hot real quick. And this chain is pert near new, so it don't need a whole lot. And I didn't quite get down into that gullet good on that one, so I'm gonna excuse me, I'm gonna adjust, give us a little bit more adjustment. I'm gonna bump it forward just a little bit. I'm gonna look at my tooth. My tooth looks pretty good. Y'all look right up in there and y'all can see. I'll get my flashlight again where you can see. Alrighty. And I don't want to take very much off of this chain. You know, it's brand spanking new, so let's don't take too much off of it if we can help it. Now that I adjusted it, I'm gonna roll it back to this first one we done. And I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that they're the same. I want all of them to come out the same. All right, them two are good. We'll just keep rolling now. And you just keep doing it until they ain't much else to grind out. And you'll kind of get a feel for it after you do it a few times. But this makes sharpening chains really easy and real efficient. You know, and if you're not a real good hand filer, this right here will save you hind end. You'll kind of get a feel for it once you do it a little while. You'll get a feel for when you're done. In other words, when that tooth is finished. And you just, you kind of just got to do a few chains. But all in all, the biggest thing, y'all, is when you're adjusting it in the beginning, is adjust it to take very, very little material, because you can really destroy a chain in just a few minutes doing this right here. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing with this thing, you can really destroy one. And it's not hard to set up or anything. I mean, you just a few little basic skills and it'll have you going. It's really nice on a chain that's been wrecked, one that you like hit fence wire or nailed or something in a tree, that causes your chain to get jacked up, or a rock. This is where it really shines, because you can go in there and find the most damaged tooth, set up on it. Once you're set up on it, you can start grinding, and you can fix that whole chain in just a matter of minutes, where, if you had to hand file it out, it might take you an hour just to fix one chain. And this thing here, about 10 minutes and you got it done on a 25-inch chain. And you can tell when you get back around to the first tooth you started on. I mean, obviously, because you won't hardly get no sparks off of it. I'm gonna sharpen this one, and I'm gonna let Skylar try his hand on the next one. And like anything else, it's a tool, but a tool is only as good as a man that knows how to run it. That's a fact. All right, I believe that's it. That tooth there looks pretty shiny, but let's go down and bump it anyway. Yeah, see how there's little to no sparks? All right, so all the left cutters are done. Now, next thing we need to do is loosen this knob on the bottom, and we need to roll that pointer right there around to 25 degrees on the other side. Right there. All right, and you want to come around here, you want to check your zero to make sure you ain't got no degrees forward and back. Now you want to do the same thing and set up on the opposite side teeth. Alrighty, now you need to adjust this thing over. Go see how tell you what, Skylar, hand me my file down there where I can point with it. There you go. Okay, look right here. See the angle of this tooth? This thing right here is kind of in the way, just a little bit. So what we want to do is back this off, and what that'll do is that'll let that slide over a little. That way your grinder wheel won't hit it. And I have hit it a few times, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Now the next thing, come down with the saw head, and if you ain't, sure about it, turn it off. And all right, come down with it, and you can see, I mean, it's pretty near daggone close right there. It's pretty doggone close, okay? But what I want to do to keep from getting into anything, I'm gonna back these knobs off, or I'm gonna back this one off just a hair to where the chain will go backwards a little, And I'm gonna tighten that one down just a little bit so it won't go down so low. Okay, I'm gonna bring that one forward just a little. All right, looks like everything is clear. All right, we're not touching anything right there. Maybe touching the gullet just a little. All right, that's got us. So now we ain't touching nothing on this side. Now, one thing you do need to do is take your tape measure, your handy dandy tape measure, and you want to measure that tooth. You want to measure that tooth from the back to the point, because you want to get them the exact same. And this tooth here is 3/8 of an inch, looks like. And again, that's measuring from right here to right here, right here to right here. And whenever we grind this tooth on the first one, whenever we get our grinder set and we grind this one, we want to check that dimension from there to there and make sure that we're getting 3/8 of an inch on both teeth, on both sides. Because if you don't, and you grind all your rakers down, after we get through sharpening the teeth, we're going to file the rakers, grind the rakers. And if we grind the rakers down to the specified limits, but our teeth are different lengths, it's going to cause your saw to cut crooked. So let's roll right into that next. All right, we're going to turn it back on. We'll come down with it. All right, I'm going to ease it forward just a little because it's grinding on that raker just a little. And just be real easy with things. All right, I'm going to tighten it down just a little over there because we was getting sparks. All right, see right there, I got it pulled all the way down and nothing is happening. All right, so what I want to do, I'm going to back this one off up here just a tad to let it go down a little further. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to push that tooth forward just a little bit. And when I say a little, I mean a little bit. All right, let's bring it a little bit more forward and a little bit more down. All right, now let's look at our tooth here. Skylar, you might have to show them on this side, sort of. All right, our tooth is good and clean. Y'all can see all the way in there, that gullet. And let me get my pointer here. Right here is your gullet, this part. That has got to be clean as well as this surface right here. This is your top plate, and that's got to form a point right there. And you want this edge to be sharp, and you want that gullet to be sharp, because that's what cuts on the side. This one cuts on the top, and that's what forms your chip. Okay, now that we got that, let's roll to the next one and just see if it's going to get about the same performance. Let's see what it does here. Go slow and easy on the first couple ones. All right, let's look at it and see what it looks like. All right, did we get it all cleaned up? Looks like it. And we ain't trying to take off, reprofile this whole tooth, y'all. We're just trying to get, this chain has got very little wire on it, so we don't want to do too much. But for a full chisel to cut right here, y'all, it has got to make that sharp point. When a chisel chain gets dull, it'll be rounded right here. That piece right there will be rounded, and that's when it's dull and ain't gonna cut. It's got to make that real sharp angle between these two dimensions right here. And if you get that right, it'll cut. All right, so now that we've done that, let's roll it right up here, about halfway. And then what we need to do is we need to take our handy dandy tape measure, and we need to measure the back of this tooth to the front of it. All right, can y'all see that 3/8 dimension? Got 3/8 of an inch, same as the other side. So we're good on our adjustments now. Now we can keep rolling. Me and Skylar will swap places. I'll let him grind some, and I'll do the videoing for him. Now that y'all seen it set up on this side, the first side and the second side, now that y'all seen it set up on it, I'm gonna stop the video for now to save our camera battery, but I am gonna get us grinding the Rakers down, so that way y'all can see how that works too. All right, y'all, now we're back again. We're going to, first thing we're gonna do is change out the disc. This is for a 3/8 pitch chain to sharpen the teeth. Skylar's gonna take the disc out and replace it with the flat ground disc, and that'll be what we use to take the Rakers down. Hold on to that thing, yeah, and that washer that comes off. There's a big old, yeah, there you go. You may stick that bolt in there and pop it out. There you go. Here, I'll hand you, let me have that now. Let's see. Here we go. It don't matter how you put it on there, I don't reckon. It's got a little flange that it has to
sit in there.
Yeah, there you go. Give her a good snugging. I don't want it flying off. Alrighty. I'll flip this back down. Alright, so now, Skylar, let's adjust this to 0. Put it on 0 degrees. And again, y'all, the degrees that we're reading is right here. All right, so now it's gonna be cutting straight across the chain. In other words, it's gonna be, the grinder's gonna be grinding straight across. And then on your tilt angle back here, we wanna set it on about 85. We don't want it to be perfectly 90, and I'll tell you why here in just a second.
All right.
All right, stand her up right there. 85 right there. Okay, now, the reason why we don't want it, in other words, when that blade comes down, hold it right there, will you? All right, when it comes down, and let me ease it back up just for a second. Let me get this out of the way. We gotta adjust this back anyway. All right, come down with it right there. All right, the reason why, y'all, that you don't want this wheel on 90 degrees is because right in there where it contacts the raker, you want this wheel to be on a little bit of a, like a downhill angle. And the reason why is because you don't want no burr on this raker. You want it to be ground downhill just a little bit. And then that way, as it slices the wood,
slide over it.
It'll slide over it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, yeah. Because when I'm round filing, or hand filing, I'll take my flat file, and just imagine that this is a flat file, okay? You hit it a couple of licks with your flat file, you know, straight across, like that. And on that last lick, you take and kind of roll that front edge a little. Because if you don't, you'll get a burr on that raker. Usually about right in there somewhere. And that burr will keep your tooth from cutting. And let's talk about height. Skylar, grab that little decking tool out of there.
This one?
The gauge, yeah, that. Yep. This thing right here, this little tool right here to come in most file sharpening kits, is a gauge to know if your rakers need to be took down or if they're too short or what. And will you hold my light right there, Skylar, so they can see? All right. Now, see that raker right in there? See how it's flush with the top of that? Try to get y'all a good shot where you can see. I don't know if I can get it to zoom in or not. This raker doesn't need to have anything done to it because it's flush with the tool. And what this tool does, y'all, is it sets down. Let's pull one more through and set it up here on this one. All right, that one's good. It's borderline, but it's still good. All right, now let's pull one more through and look at it. Let's look at this other side. Okay, it's good. Skylar, hold the tool and let me pull the chain through. Let's check this side. Right there. Okay, shine it right on top where they can see. And see, that raker's good. Okay, but here's the deal. Shine the light kind of up on the top where they see. Okay, this raker has to match this tooth. You want 25 thousandths difference between here and here. This is your gauge to tell that tooth how much wood to shave off. And you want 25 thousandths from here to here. And that's what that gauge right there does. It gives you that 25 thousandths depth between here and here. And as long as the left side cutter teeth are the same as the right side cutter teeth, now I don't mean the same as in the length and all that good stuff. If you're hand filing, you don't have to get them all the same. You just got to make sure the raker matches the tooth. Now on grinding, it's a little different story because on grinding, they've all got to be the same to make the grinder work. On hand filing, you can actually hand file the right side teeth shorter than the left hand teeth, and the chain will still cut straight as long as the rakers match the teeth. That's the trick. The raker has to match the teeth. You got to have that 25 thousandths difference, because if you're pulling 30 thousandths over here and 20 thousandths over here, then naturally it's going to cut crooked. But if you're pulling 25 thousandths here and 25 thousandths there, it don't matter how long or short that tooth is. It just matters how long or that raker matches that tooth. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, so this chain is all right. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, y'all, here's one that we're going to do just to show y'all it is very borderline. We could probably get by leaving it. That one is real close to being a little bit tall. And again, the key to it, to keeping your chain cutting straight, is making sure that you got that 25 thousandths between that and that on each tooth. You want that 25 thousandths depth between here and here. This is your gauge that tells that tooth how much material to take off. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you the old trick that a lot of people do. Everybody's done it at some point or another. They want their chain to cut a little bit more aggressive, is they'll take and they'll lower these rakers just a little. Instead of going to 25 thousandths, you know, like the book calls for, they'll go 30. That's fine and well if you want to do that. Only problem with that is your chain's going to be a little, it's going to buck a little or bite a little hard. You know, it's going to pull pretty hard. And you just kind of have to be real easy with your saw. You know, you can't get up there rearing on it, so to speak, because it's really going to eat. And it depends on your style of cutting and what kind of wood you cut as to how, you know, the difference you want in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch these off just a little, because I don't know, I can't get in there to really make it focus good, but they're just a tad high. And when I say a tad, I mean very, very little. Really, we could get away with not even doing nothing to them, but for the sake of this video, we wanted y'all to at least have something to look at. So, when you're hand filing, here's something else I want to tell you too. When you're hand filing and you're taking these rakers down, you want to file your rakers in the same direction that you would file your teeth. In other words, you'd file this raker going across this way, like that. And then on this tooth, you would file the raker coming across going this way. And what that does is sets up your burr to where you don't get a bunch of hanging material. And you'll get a smoother running chain and a sharper. Well, it's not that it's sharper, it's just that the raker right here is allowing the tooth to do its job. You can have a real sharp chain, y'all, And if that raker is not adjusted properly, your chain still ain't gonna cut. So you can do everything right on this part and do this wrong, and your chain's still gonna suck. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna get started on this. I'm gonna turn the camera over to Skylar, and I'm gonna set the grinder up, and we'll get started with these rakers. Okay, we're back in business, y'all. This unit, it comes with 2 of these, and this one is actually made for a 404 chain. It stands up taller where your teeth, you know, can go under it. It's made for a lot taller chain, but I had this one too. It's made for 325, quarter, and 3/8. And what it was doing, it was bottoming out on my housing when I come down on it. It was bottoming out right here, right up in there. But anyway, I've got it back to where we was at a while ago. Y'all can see right under there. It's not touching the raker. All right, now, what we want to do is we want to pull this down, and then I'm going to reach around here and I'm going to loosen the top guide to lower this wheel down until it's right there at it. All right, now what we'll do, turn it back on. Hopefully y'all be able to see. I'm gonna pull it down. All right, it's not touching. And I'm gonna adjust it. Let me grab my little depth gauge here. Put it in my pocket. I'm gonna tell you what, we'll just leave that like that to keep it from rattling. All right, see how it sparked this in? All right, I'm gonna give it just a little bit more. And this is something you want to be real easy with, y'all, is these rakers. I mean, really easy, because once you take the material off, you can't put it back. So, let's take our depth gauge and let's roll it right up here and look at it. All right, I can go a little bit more. So, let me pull that tooth back under there.
That wheel's not very balanced.
All right, I'm gonna take just a little bit more. Okay, and roll it out here where I can get my tool on it. All right, and go a little bit more. And like I say, it takes a little bit to get it adjusted. Once you get it adjusted, then you can roll on. All right, let me check her one more time. That's pretty good right there. We can live with that. We may have to tweak it just a little more, but we'll cross that bridge as it comes. All right, now that I've done that one, let me check it, because I want to make sure they're all coming out about the same. All right, that one looks pretty good. All right, they're the same. Let's do one more, and then we'll check it, and then we can roll on. You kind of want to sneak up on it, if that makes any sense. You don't want to just get it all at one time, because once you take that material off, you can't put it back. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. All right, now we can roll on. I'm satisfied with it. And again, you know, this 620 model, it's got the hydraulic jaws that clamps on the chain every time that you pull down on it. And when you let up on it, it releases it, so you can just do like that. And then it clamps back down on it when you pull down. And that's kind of nice. The 520 model, it's got the little hand crank out here that you can crank it, you know, tight, and that ain't no big deal either. I think it would still be a step up from hand filing if you're not real good at hand filing. But now I will say this, y'all. This machine right here will take, if you are a hand filer and can hand file a chain pretty good and you understand all the mechanics, this machine will make you better. It will take what you have already and make you better as you are. Now, if you don't understand nothing about chains, you probably need to get educated on chains and the dynamics of it before you use this grinder. And the reason being is because you can really mess the chain up with this grinder if you don't know what you're doing. The purpose of me doing this video was to show y'all how I do it, and also to kind of do a little review on it. I've run this thing now, I don't know, I probably sharpened, I'm gonna say I probably sharpened 50 chains total with it. And in the beginning, you know, it was a little funky for me to get used to, because I've always been used to hand filing. But it didn't take me very long to pick up on what to do and how to get everything set, you know. And this is kind of a long video and a long process because I took my time to show y'all, you know, how to set it up. When I'm here in the shop just working by myself, I can roll through these chains pretty quick. So yes, this machine, this grinder, I think we bought it for right around $500 if I remember. And I can tell you right now, it's worth it. If something happens to it, I'll buy another one. I can promise you that. Because it definitely speeds up, you know, my process of getting my chain sharp. And when you're cutting timber, it's most important to have a good sharp chain. A dull chain can hurt you. And like I say, for us, you know, we cut in the afternoons after work. I'm sorry about all these animals. We're out here in the barn. But we cut a lot in the afternoons, so we only got an hour of daylight to cut, you know, and we don't have time to touch the chain up. Even if it don't take but 10 minutes, that's still 10 minutes you lost on an hour, you know. So we just keep extra chains in the toolbox, and when we dull one, we just go put it on, you know. And then on a rainy day when we ain't got nothing else to do, we'll stand here in the hall of the barn and sharpen chains for an hour or so. Get all our chains sharpened back up, throw them back in the tool bag, and we're ready to roll. And sometimes, you know, you're gonna hit stuff, metal in the trees, nails, fence, you know, bullets, all kind of crazy crap, you know. Some of the trees are hollow and gonna have a lot of dirt in it, and you just ain't gonna be able to help it but dulling the chain. If you cut enough timber, you're gonna do it. And whenever you do, it's best just to stop right then and go get you another chain or sharpen your chain, one or the other. Don't just torture yourself by trying to power your way through it. That ain't gonna get nothing done. Everybody will be exhausted. But this is the process, y'all. I'm not gonna draw it out any longer. I just kind of want to show y'all how fast I could go through it. You know, and I'm not really in a hurry. I'm just trying to be efficient here. I do all my teeth first. I get all my angles and do all my teeth first and hang my chains back up, as y'all can see over there. Show them, Skylar. And then I come back to the grinder after I've got all my teeth cut this way and that way. Then I'll do my Rakers last on all my chains. That way I don't have to keep resetting the grinder up to different specs. And you know, if you buy one of these, you really just kind of got to figure out what works for you. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, and you just get you a system that's efficient for you and your operation, and don't worry about the rest. Do it your way and let the rest of it go. But look, I just want to tell y'all, thank y'all for watching our videos. I really appreciate every one of you commenting, liking, and subscribing, all that good stuff, and sharing our videos. It means a lot to us. I enjoy hearing from you, you know, and if y'all don't care, put down in the comments, you know, kind of what you might like to see. If we've got something going on and you think you know, might be interested in a particular thing, you know, just tell us down in the comments and we'll try to make it happen. But y'all have a good week, and thanks for watching.